Wait. What's up, everybody? It is me, your boy Gilbert.
And me, Harry.
And you knew this was coming. You knew with all the controversy, with all the Star Wars talk, with everything that's going on in the Star Wars realm, you knew we had to bring this up. Although we're not bringing up the main thing. We're just bringing up, we're talking about, we're ranking Star Wars. That's what we're doing. We're not talking about Kathleen Kennedy. We don't give a fuck about whether she's retiring, staying, going, leaving. Who gives a shit? We're going to talk about Star Wars instead. Isn't that right, Harry?
Exactly. That is exactly right. We are just enjoying, well, maybe not enjoying, but we are rolling around in Star Wars. We're gonna go through all of Star Wars and just decide how we feel about it.
Exactly. And so, yeah, like, again, like if you guys are unaware of that whole thing, you know, the whole Kathleen Kennedy saying she's going to retire and then saying she's not going to retire. Yeah, no, apparently I didn't want to be a grifter, so that's the last we're going to say of it. So yeah, we are going to be talking about Star Wars. Here, let me bring this up. There we go. We're going to be ranking Star Wars movies and TV shows, and I want to put out in some ground rules. First of all, none of that Lego crap. The Lego crap has no business being here. And also, I'm going to get rid of this thing here real quick so Harrison's head is not like obstructed. There we go. But yeah, so none of those Lego crap. Like, so the Lego Holiday Special out, the Lego, the Freemakers, Brickverse, whatever the hell Patrick's talking about in the Freemakers Adventures. None of that. We're not doing any of that crap. We're just sticking strictly to things that were released by Lucasfilm, like the movies and TV shows. And for some reason, the tier for the person who made this tier put the Star Wars Theory fucking fan film in here. So we're not putting that in there. That's just there. So
sure.
Yeah, so that's the one thing I think we can say for certain is not Star Wars because it's a fucking fan film. Anyway, moving on. We're gonna pre-ass ranking. Sure, why not, Mr. Action? What's going on, Mr. Action? We got Patrick Patrick Mulcair in the house. We got Justin in here. We also had Mike for a minute saying that there's only 6 Star Wars movies. No, in fact, there are 15. I counted it with the Ewoks movies, Rogue One, Solo, the Clone Wars movie. Like there's 15 movies in this whole fucking thing, and that's both Disney and Lucas. So, you know, it is what it is.
I think. Do you also point out that we're not doing the holiday? Are we doing the holiday special?
Oh, like yeah,
so holiday special.
Yes, so it's gonna be so in order, it's New Hope, fucking Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, a holiday special, the 2 Ewok movies, and I'm putting them both together in one.
Okay.
The prequel trilogy. We got the Clone Wars 2008 cartoon, the Clone Wars movie, Rebels. We got the actual Clone Wars TV shows over here as well. Obviously the sequel trilogy, Solo, Rogue One, like all of that, and yeah, and like everything we've watched and talked about over the last like 3 years is what I'm, Mandalorian, Boba Fett, Acolyte. Yeah, no, we're gonna be talking. We have to rehash that. I think I can already tell you without even talking about it where it's gonna go. Anyway,
I might. Everyone needs a defense. Everyone should have their time in court. So I might play devil's advocate for the Acolyte, maybe to get it up to scruffy-looking Nerf herder.
Oh, yeah, that's another thing. Thank you for reminding me. If you guys cannot see, I'm not going to bother with like zooming in, but we have the different tiers are Bantha Poodoo, scruffy-looking Nerf herder, You Were on This Council, Light Side of the Force, and The Chosen One. And so, all right, guys, so let's go ahead and get right into it. And if you at any point, you guys, it's just going to be me and Harrison talking this back and forth and just kind of arguing over where we think these should be. If you guys want to be the deciding vote, or if we can't agree on where a movie should go or where a thing should go, you guys are going to have to be the ones to tell us. So you got it, the official ranking of Star Wars. It could be in your hands. Comment.
I got a terrible memory. So guys, like, make sure that you're in there. If you think there's something important, a detail that we've missed, you got to put it in there, because otherwise I'll forget.
And as for what the fuck are these names? They're Star Wars quotes. You should know that. You are a Star Wars fan. You should know this. All right, so we're gonna start off with the OG trilogy, New Hope. Where are we at on that? Like we've talked New Hope to death before, but let's go ahead and go it again. Harrison, is this? Is this an S tier thing?
My immediate instinct is yes. It's right at the top. It kicked everything off. It made the world fall in love with the galaxy far, far away that George Lucas created. It has some incredible parts in it. Bits of it still absolutely hold up today. Yeah, like if you are one of those people who has a problem with old special effects, you might have an issue watching it. Although, of course, you have to watch the special editions these days with new special effects. So maybe you're okay with that. But I don't think I can argue this down. It is not my favorite of the Star Wars movies, but I can't say that it's a bad Star Wars movie and that it doesn't deserve to be the chosen one. It started it off for us all.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, so we got everyone's agreeing with you. It looks like Patrick says number one with a bullet, and I guess a bullet point is what he means, or I don't know. Maybe he's serious. Like, no, it's number one, or I will fucking shoot you.
No, Patrick's just a really big Fallout Boy fan.
Oh, there you go. So yeah, Mr. Action says it's A tier. However, says I love it, but it's still a '70s film. And so, yeah, he calls it light side of the force. You say it's the chosen one. I would agree, although I would agree that, yeah, it is like S tier in that it's still a timeless classic. Like you can put it on, and like most people, like that, my nephew being the outlier there, because I tried to put it on for him, and he's like, "Where's BB-8?" I'm like, "Oh, you little shit." So yeah, like, but that said, like for most people, it is a timeless sci-fi classic, and even with the George Lucas CG like remakes where he puts the rock in front of what's it, R2D2, or he changes the English to Arabesh in there, like that kind of stuff. Even with those changes, it is goated, and it makes Star Wars like it's what made Star Wars what it is. So
yeah, and you've got to think about all of the things that we know of Star Wars and that we got excited about. All of them originate in that movie, so even just things that we didn't learn about until years later. I was one of those kids that got Star Wars from my parents. So I saw the original trilogy well before the prequels. And, so I heard about the Clone Wars through Obi-Wan Kenobi mentioning the Clone Wars and mentioning Anakin Skywalker. And every one of those little story moments that, you then discover more about and they get more fleshed out originates in that film. And I don't think that we can pass that off.
True. That is true. Like a lot of people forget about that. That yes, episode 4 was in fact like oh, I was once a Jedi Knight. You fought in the Clone War. Like that one throwaway line, but yes, he did mention the Clone Wars, and that one line of dialogue led to probably what is the greatest Star Wars TV show that has ever existed. And I'm going to argue that well, Andor exists, but fine, the greatest Star Wars cartoon that has ever existed.
And it's kind of beautiful the way that it worked out. It was strange to start off a series of movies, the fourth one in. But what would the Clone Wars TV show would it even have happened if the first movie had been the Phantom Menace? And because you got to think that Dave Filoni sees episode 4, hears about the Clone Wars, and then decades later comes and works on the Clone Wars. He already had a true love for that universe before he made that TV show. So, yeah, I think you've really got to... I don't think we can disrespect it. Also, Mr. Action, I don't particularly appreciate... We say you love it, but it's still a 70s film.
Oh.
My guy, 70s films are incredible. There are a huge number of amazing 70s films. The Godfather, like just a miraculous 70s film. You got to go back and look at these again, and kind of take away that
Apocalypse Now.
God, yeah,
Close Encounters.
Now. Oh yeah,
Rocky.
Like, calm down.
Well, I mean, fine. That's American propaganda, but still, Apocalypse Now, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, Jaws, Clockwork Orange. I'm like, bro, there were so many good movies in the 70s.
Yeah, man. Yeah, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's like, you got to get in on there, man.
Yeah, Shining, Exorcist, bro.
The Shining, my guy. Yeah. Nah, so, don't snuff the 70s.
With that, I think we've come to an agreement. It's A tier, or it's S tier. It goes all the way to the top, and which brings us now to Empire Strikes Back. I'm afraid I got to put it in here because you know what? That movie is fucking blown. That movie is so overblown. I am so sick and tired of people talking about its supremacy.
No, it is absolutely the superior movie of the original trilogy. I'm sorry, it has to be in the chosen one. It is such a well-made, fantastically crafted movie. It works better than the others as a story. Like,
you're lucky Mr. Action agrees with you on that one, but I'm just like, it is so overblown. Oh, it's the best movie. It ends on a dark note. No, Return of the Jedi fucking walks circles around this fucking movie, and that's all I gotta say. I love Return of the Jedi, even with all of its dumb shit. Return of the Jedi is still a much better movie, and this nonsense of just like, oh, well, it's the Empire striking back. Now they're on the attack, and it makes it seem like it's dire for the rebel. I'm like, you know what? It was dire always for the rebels. I'm like.
Yeah,
so overblown.
I'm not going to go all Kevin Smith on you and say that life is a series of down endings and that's why it's the best one. I genuinely just think it is the best made movie of the original trilogy. I think the storytelling, the pacing, it is just perfect in that film.
Okay, so I always am a defender of the whole Darth Vader thing. Like people have argued for years about how like that's actually a stupid reveal that Darth Vader is his father, because it's like it's in his name. Vader means father. That kind of like I'm sure you've heard those arguments. But yeah, so I defend that. It's a really great plot twist, but that's kind of like the only thing I think it has going for it, and that's what everyone remembers is that like, no, I am your father. Like that whole lightsaber duel is probably it's one of the best lightsaber duels in Star Wars, but I don't think it makes the whole movie.
I wouldn't say it makes the entire movie, but the rest of the movie makes the entire movie. Everything that happens on Hoth is an incredible piece of cinema. Like Hoth is fantastic. The Battle of Hoth is beautiful. The stuff that happens with the Wampa is fun. I love it. I love all of that beginning. And then you go to Cloud City and you have Lando and the betrayal of that. You get the introduction of Boba Fett, one of the most iconic characters in all of Star Wars. You have the Carbonite. You've got that incredible line delivery from Han. Why can't I think of his real name? But Han, where he does that, I know. It's beautiful. Okay. So good.
Harrison Ford, if we're going for that,
if we're going for my own name. Sorry,
Harrison Ford. If you forgot Harrison, that's beautiful. I love it. That alone is an S tier moment on this podcast.
Oh no!
but anyway, so yeah, I'll grant you that. Like the Han's, like I love you. I know. Like that's a badass improvised line. I think what's a better line though, and it comes from also from Han, is in episode 4 when he goes, "Fucking sorry about the mess." And just flicks a nickel or a coin onto the dude's I'm like, that's the coolest fucking line he's ever done. But fine, I will concede for nothing else because Mr. Action already agreed with you.
Thank you, John.
Was interesting though.
Yeah, Dagobah.
I agree that Dagobah was cool, and Yoda and the whole Yoda. All right, fine. It's a damn good movie. I just think it's overhyped. And for like the worst reasons. It's like, oh, the downer ending. I'm like. But no, like technically, like as far as like from a technical standpoint, the Hoth battle is really, really beautiful. I will grant you that.
Yeah,
I think the Wampa scene is really just because they wanted to show Luke chop something's arm off. Like that has no other point than just for Luke to be like use the Force.
I absolutely love that. I think it is hard to argue about Empire being the best movie. So yeah, because it is. And
here we come.
Patrick made a great point of the AT-AT walkers are the best vehicle in Star Wars. They are also the best Star Wars toy. Everyone knows it.
The X-Wing fighter is by far the best vehicle in Star Wars. Let's not even fucking pretend that the X-Wings are not the coolest thing. We all wanted to fly an X-Wing as a kid.
Like, the AT-ATs were incredible. Like having an AT-AT was insane.
They're so lame. They're giant camels. They're just big metal camels.
That's so cool.
And they're so easy to take down. Like I understand, like, oh, it's the sheer size of them that is supposed to be intimidating and scary. But it's like, dude, you can take them down by just tripping them. And like Luke fucking goes under. He goes under one and throws a grenade in there, and it dies almost immediately. I'm like, bro, that is like the worst fucking vehicle in the Star. Like, that's objectively the worst vehicle the Empire has. Like they could have. They went from tanks with treads that were fast and shit and had cannons on it to a walking camel that takes fucking a year to get over there and can be taken down by what is essentially a mosquito.
Yeah, I will.
Like, they look cool, but they are the worst fucking vehicle in Star Wars.
No, I'll
And
absolutely concede you are correct on that one.
now, that said, it was added to the movie because Mark
Oh, yeah.
Hamill had an accident between. Oh yeah, that's right. He was in a car accident. Yeah, that's right. The scars on his face were from that. So they had to find a way to explain how he had. Fine. I'm just saying though, that is still like. Like, I don't know if I would call that lazy storytelling, but it is. You're making a scene just to explain one thing. Like, you're not making a move, or you're not making a scene for the story. You're making a scene just because you need to be like, oh, well, how are we going to explain the scratches on his face?
I mean, I think it's great. I love, similar to I believe it's also, is it also that movie where they go into the giant cave that's actually a big worm in an asteroid?
Oh yeah, it is in that movie. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Fine. Fair
Yeah,
enough.
no, I appreciate like those scenes. It just adds to the galaxy. You know, it makes it wild and dangerous, and that there are monsters out there. And so, you know, not only are they contending with the Empire, but they have just the fact of this sort of strange new world, and it adds to the sci-fi. I like it.
Now, that said, Talking Turd, yeah, you said it's hard to argue about Empire being the best one in the saga, and yet here we go with me about to argue why Return of the Jedi belongs right there beside it, and honestly should be in a tier right above it.
No.
Yes,
no.
the green lightsaber, dude. I don't care if it's just because blue would look weird against the sky. Green lightsaber, fucking Luke being in the fucking first of all, that fit, like him being in the black like robes, kind of badass. Him going back to Yoda and like trying to complete his training, but Yoda dying on him, and like that kind of thing of him like being unsure whether or not he's even ready to face Vader again, even after all he's done. I'm like, I love that. And the fact that he actually does, well, also, yeah, the fact that he does actually kind of use the dark side to beat Vader, but then chooses like to actively like not fucking give into it. Like, he uses his emotions and passion to beat Vader, but then realizing what it's turning him into, throws his lightsaber away and is like, you know, even though that's a stupid move, it's like, it's still, I get why the character would do it. It's like he's proving a point. He's like, I'm not going to fucking turn into what you want me to. That is why that movie is better.
Now, look, I am not arguing that it should be lower down than Empire. I absolutely agree with you. It should be on the same level. Do not fucking step to me with this idea that it's better. Just fucking not. All right.
Oh, it is. You want to talk about and also you want to talk about a better vehicle. The fucking, I think it's the AT-ST, the walker that they have, despite the fact that it gets tripped by logs. That fucker is.
The chicken walkers are on Hoth as well.
Okay, no, they are. You're right. They are on Hoth. But I mean, you never see a fucking snow speeder take it down. Is all I'm saying. But yeah, no, the chicken walkers. That's funny.
So they are the chicken walkers. Before all you fucking nerds turned up knowing their actual names, it was AT-ATs and chicken walkers, and that's what it was.
Also the speeder bikes. That whole speeder bike scene, like going through Skywalker Ranch, is just beautiful, gorgeous.
Oh, yeah.
Makes me want to get rich enough to own just a plot of forest and then just keep that to myself.
I think my thing was, because when I was a child, Jedi was absolutely my favorite of the three. I agreed, like literally stupid stuff like green was my favorite color. So I was well happy that he had a green lightsaber. I love the stuff that happens on Endor. And I think it is the one that, not just because of the Ewoks, but I think overall, it's more exciting for a child. I think there's more kind of fun bits in it, and you do have less of the downer stuff. But I don't think the story is told as well. I don't think it's just as well made of a movie. But I'm not going to knock it. I'm not going to say that it deserves any less than the others do. I think that trilogy is sacred for a reason.
Yeah, I don't think we were ever going to come to a point where it's like, no, Empire just belongs down here.
Oh no.
Like we were never gonna, like, there's really no other way this could have gone. I think I just wanted to argue about which one is better for 15 minutes. All right, so let's go ahead and go into the sequel, or not the sequel, the holiday special. You remember?
Oh, I don't know how I can. Right. Okay. No. Okay. So, Mr. Action made a good point that Boba Fett was actually introduced in the holiday special, and you are correct. I'm sorry. I tend not to think of the holiday special as kind of canon Star Wars, but you're right. That is why he was introduced. It wasn't a masterpiece, Mr. Action. You little contrarian, you. But it sucks. Like, wow, this show sucks. Like,
dude, you can. Yeah, you can put as many B. Arthurs and fucking like Boba Fett cartoons and goddamn, Leia, like Carrie Fisher singing about Life Day as much as you want, but it's goofy. It's goofy and weird, and I think it was an ill-conceived fucking idea.
I think you're right to put it in scruffy-looking nerve herder, because I could watch this movie with friends. I have a lot of friends that I don't have a lot of friends. I'm lying. I have some friends that we like to watch bad movies together, and we could absolutely watch the holiday special and laugh at it. And we've done it on this channel.
Yes, we have.
It is bizarre and ridiculous and stupid, and it's funny. Whereas there are definitely other movies that we are going to talk about that I just wouldn't watch because no one's going to have a good time.
Yeah, no, I would see the holiday special is like Star Wars is The Room. Like that, it's you like, you know what I mean? You watch it because you want it to be bad and you want to see how bad, like people talk about how bad it is. You want to be like, all right, I'm just going to see for myself. Let's fucking, oh my God, what the hell is that?
I think my favorite part is the very beginning, and when they do the sitcom intro of all the characters, and I love it. Like, that's such an angry Harrison Ford. You can tell he doesn't want to be there. And he's like, "Oh, get out of here!"
Although I think it's funny that it's like the fact that he even agreed to do that. Don't worry, buddy. We're gonna get you home in time for Life Day. It's like, oh my God, dude, you must be hating your. It's like, why couldn't I do another Indiana Jones movie?
I owe George a lot of money. I guess I got to do this.
Okay, so fine. Yeah, the Boba Fett cartoon was pretty sick, and it informed a lot of what like became Boba Fett's lore and his stuff later on. And
also, I think the gun he has in that cartoon is the one that they gave to
the Mandalorian
in Mandalorian. Yeah.
Yep.
So that was a sweet little callback they did.
Yeah, not not to mention, like, we're getting ahead of ourselves, but in Book of Boba Fett, yeah, he also says, it's like when they give him the Rancor, he's like, oh yeah, you want to ride a Rancor? It's pretty big. I've rode bigger. And it's like, and people took that as a reference to the holiday special when he was riding like a dragon or some shit.
Yeah, the weird sea serpent thing.
Yeah,
if I remember rightly. It's been a while.
Yeah, so, or not that it matters, but it's not rode, it's ridden. Ewok movies are way better than the Disney sequels. Whoa, sir. I'm like, that is quite a claim, because the Ewok movies. So I have watched Caravan of Courage back when Sebastian was on the channel. Me and him sat down and we did like one of those. Like we watched both of them. We watched both Caravan of Courage and the Battle of Endor. And oh my God, they are such garbage. They are just hot garbage that it's not even like you watch them because you want to see how bad they are. It's like you're watching them. It's like, why am I doing? It's like bad Willow.
Oof. Okay.
And if you didn't like Willow, that's saying something. Like, so that's what I mean. Is it like it is clear Bantha Poodoo? I don't know if here, Harrison, you haven't seen them. So if anyone wants to, yeah, no one else has seen them. I have though. So I'm like, you have to take my word for it or go watch them yourselves. Either way.
I mean, so yeah, John Henry Walker's asked, does something suck as much as the Ewok direct-to-video films? Have you seen them? Like, I mean, it doesn't.
Yeah, see, I'm like, that's the thing. Is that like they are pretty bad? Like they involve Wicket, the Jedi, or not the Jedi, the Ewok from the from Return of the Jedi, who hung out with Leia. But besides that, it's like there's very little like connection to the Star Wars. I think it's if I remember correctly, it's like the two kids, they crash, like their family crash lands on Endor, and I think their parents die, so they end up having to just kind of live in the woods, and they get found by Ewoks, and they just kind of become friends with the Ewoks. And then there's also like a giant King Kong monster thing. I think it's also part spider that they have to kill. It gets really, really stupid. So, like I just gave like a bastardized version of that, but it's bad. It's really stupid. All right, moving on from that, let's go ahead and get into episode 1. Where do you think? Now I think where we're getting into. Go ahead and tell me, Harrison. Give me your reason why this belongs in the lower tiers.
I might allow. I think Phantom Menace can be you are on this council. Like for me, obviously, my point of view is not the only one. I don't make the decisions here. I think this is the beginning of a very bad period of Star Wars. I have never been a prequels fan. On this channel, I always want to respect the things that people love. I don't like at all trying to make people feel bad about what they like unless it's peaky. And then I will say terrible things about him. But this was a movie that was okay when I was 8. And the older I've gotten, the worse this movie got. But it isn't really dreadful. There are other really dreadful movies. The second fucking movie that's going to come up.
Whoa! Okay, you know what? First of all,
no, stay on this. We'll get into that because I'm saving myself for that one.
Okay, fine. I will save my anger for that one because that's my favorite one. But okay, but here we go. So with this one, I'm fine. I'll grant you that it had Jar Jar. The Jar Jar of it all brings it down. Even if it was a peak movie, it would only be able to be in the light side of the Force because of like Jar Jar. It brings it down a whole letter grade just for the fact that he's there. And it's like, dude, you didn't really. It seems like you didn't really have a plan for, like George Lucas. It didn't seem like he had a plan for him. Didn't seem like he had like despite he said, oh, he's going to be, like a main character. He's going to be like, what's it? Or not example. He's going to be like, shit. I don't know. He's important. That's basically what George Lucas said, is that Jar Jar would be very important to the Star Wars saga. And it's like integral. It kind of, integral. That's the word. But he kind of wasn't. All he really did was, he gave the power to Palpatine, but literally anyone could have done that. You didn't need to make 3 whole movies with Jar Jar in them for him to be integral. You know what I mean? Could have had any asshole senator do that. But so you fine. I'll grant you that. But the pod race, fucking like, I don't know. I think the battle of, or the duel of the fates. Fucking the entirety of Darth Maul, everything that was Darth Maul, oh man, it's gotta be worth more than that.
So in my opinion, maybe the pod race, although when I was a kid, I hated the pod race. I thought it was so boring. I don't care. I've never cared about cars. I've never been a car guy. So just 5 minutes of just brrr, I just found incredibly dull. And I didn't like Anakin, even when I was a kid. I didn't like Anakin. I've talked about it with other things. When I was a child, I never liked the kid character in anything. Yeah.
Jake Lloyd was bad.
Duel of the Fates, it's a great fight, even better score. I cannot fault that bit really. But what I have a problem with this movie is it is the first sign that when it comes to, I think, directing actors, George Lucas is a terrible director. I think George Lucas is a great director at getting lots of things together and going, here's what I want to do, and then getting all the pieces together and getting incredible people to work. So, like the effects in all of the prequel movies are great. At the time, they were groundbreaking. You can't come at them. But he takes a fantastic cast and gets the worst performances of their life out of them. Everyone sucks in this movie. No one's good to watch. No one's fun to watch. Ewan McGregor is boring and stiff and wooden in it. Jake Lloyd is terrible. And he's in other movies and he's not as bad. You've got Qui-Gon Jinn. I think similar. He had this whole thing of the Jedi just being really kind of boring and wooden. And I don't know why he did that. Natalie Portman, incredible actress, crap in that movie. And everything that isn't the Duel of the Fates or an action scene or a special effects sequence is boring and dull. And I hate it. I hate listening to any of these people talk.
I mean, that's just a problem with the prequel trilogy in general. All the politics talk is just lame. And that is well understood that the politics talk is just stupid. And it's George Lucas does not understand politics. So it's why are you trying to shoehorn this thing into this kids show?
It's not even the politics. It's every aspect of it. The midichlorians are rubbish. And here we go. We'll get on to more interpersonal character relations, which are usually important things in a story. But George Lucas cannot make them to save his life. He's bad. And there are things that they stuff that doesn't make sense. Some of the stuff that they do, Qui-Gon supposedly being this great exemplar of the Jedi and truly believes in the light side of the Force. But rather than figure out like a way, like he could just steal the thing he needs from Watto, but instead he's like, nah, I'll let this kid go into a race essentially to the death, like where he might die, and I'll try and cheat Watto out of what he wants.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. That's a good point. You did say that like he exemplifies Jedi and he doesn't want to steal. I'm like, well, that's kind of what a Jedi. Yeah, he wouldn't want to steal, but he does cheat Watto with the dice cube. He does no. I mean, Watto's cheating too, but he just kind of cheats better because he has the Force.
Well, but also like he's supposed to be this this wonderful stoic knight. He's a force of goodness, but he's like this man is a slaver. He keeps slaves. I could just kill him. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Like I'm playing KOTOR, I'm like, no, I'm killing that guy.
Something I never thought about. Yeah, no. If you kill the slave, because like slavery on Tatooine is legal, right? So if you just like murder Watto, does anyone care, or do they just like? Is there authorities on Tatooine, or do the Hutts suddenly get on your ass?
I mean, probably. I don't know. Yeah.
Actually, that's probably what it is. The Hutts. Anyway. Okay, so BR, fine. I'll grant you fine. Episode 1 is on this council, but it does not grant the rank of master. However, we're coming at this from fucking episode 2 is absolutely above episode 1 because, dude, yes, it is. Oh, it absolutely is.
Awful movie. This is everything that was bad about the Phantom Menace is just worse. It's just Lucas doubles down on everything he's bad at in this movie.
Okay, so I think I'm going to go a little Star Wars theory on this. I think Hayden Christensen does really well in that movie. I think he's like, yeah, he sounds like a whiny little bitch, but that's kind of the point. Anakin is supposed to sound like a whiny little like impetulant child. Like he's supposed to sound like I should have everything. I'm the chosen one, right? Like he should sound like a whiny little like entitled kid. Like most Star Wars fans. No, I'm kidding. But no, but like he's supposed to sound like that, and so I grant that the romance between him and Padme is a little awkward. Like I don't like sand. It's coarse and rough and gets like stupid lines, and kind of problematic when you realize that she's supposed to be like 25 and he's only like 17, 18 years old. It's like I don't know, man. I don't know. You could argue it's grooming.
I mean, I wouldn't, mostly because she is clearly being held hostage by him.
True.
Like that is one of my big issues. And thank you, Patrick, for mentioning Dexter Jester. Just one of the
Jester in the 50s. Dude, the 50s diner. You didn't like the 50s diner. That was cool.
Of course I hated the 50s diner with the dinosaur with a mustache. What the hell is that?
It's Coruscant. It's a fucking New York City. Like I feel like those kind of diners are very prominent in like metropolitan like big cities and shit like that. Come on, like nostalgia diners and shit like that. Come on, bro.
For a time that didn't exist in this galaxy, no. Samurai
didn't exist. Okay, samurai didn't exist, neither did knights, nor did like cowboys. None of these things existed, yet they all somehow have appearance in the Star Wars universe. Come on.
No. Because because the other things, like you can understand, okay, right, that's like this place's version of that. They have a knight, but the knights are kind of like what we would maybe call like monks. Mm-hmm. So what if it's an American Graffiti throwback? It is out of place and it sucks. It's indulgent, is what it is. It is Lucas doing something he shouldn't have done, and it's part of a terribly told storyline. All of that stuff is so badly told.
I love, and the reason. So again, I'm going to go back. So I was saying Star Wars theory thing. I kind of love the whole Anakin slaughtering the Sand People. That's kind of a bitchin' scene. Like objectively, he's a bad guy there. He shouldn't be killing women and children. But I love that, like the character of him like being. Like his road to becoming Darth Vader, I'm like, that is absolutely what he would do. I love that. And it's like it's him giving into the dark side and being like, and feeling good about it. And I'm like, it kind of explains how he like justifies what he does later on when he's murdering people left and right as Darth Vader.
I don't disagree with that. I do agree. My problem with that is everything else around it, because I understand, because people shout it all the time, because we're all about making excuses for these bad movies. People have been doing it for the last 20 years. this thing of, like, oh well, the Jedi Council like were bad and that's why they fell, but like they are ridiculously stupid in this movie. Anakin is so clearly a wrong un. Like Anakin is like a friend that you wouldn't leave alone with a woman. Like because everyone knows that one day Anakin's gonna flip. Anakin has his bag searched every day he comes into school, because everyone in that school is waiting for him to bring an AR-15 in. Like,
True.
Anakin is so clearly bad in this.
He's the kid who shows up one day in a black trench coat.
He hates the Jedi, tells all the Jedi about how much he hates it. Like, it's just terrible. And then like does this stuff. And then, like I say, like the only bit that I believe of like his relationship with Padme is that moment when Padme is just horrified by him when he's telling her that he murdered all these children. And then I'm supposed to then believe that they go on to have this romance. Like, no, she is a hostage. None of this is okay.
That's actually a good point. No, she does look horrified when she tells him that when he tells her that he murdered the women, not just the men, but the women and the children. Yeah, she looks at him horrified and then continues to like, okay, I might fuck this child. I'm like, nah, I think there's something wrong with both of them. I think she's a little unstable, and I think he's probably a little holding her hostage. She's got Stockholm syndrome,
Well, also I've talked about it before, but like I think it's insane because they set up these weird things about Naboo where they have a monarchy. So someone once on one of the audiobooks was like, actually, you had loads of like kings and queens that were children. Yes, you did, in an inherited monarchy. When your dad died and you became king. Mm-hmm. In Star Wars, they established that kings and queens are democratically voted for on Naboo, and they voted for a 13-year-old to be their queen, and then she has assassins come after. So I can kind of get that Padme is a bit like, she's traumatized. She's gone through a lot.
Some chicks get wet for bad boys. Yep, that's true. Padme never had a childhood. Or if we're making the Michael Jackson defense, fuck, man.
But also, right, so, on a point that someone made about the Jedi aren't supposed to have attachments. Right. Mm-hmm. Jedi aren't supposed to have attachments. So Obi-Wan knows how Anakin feels about Padme. And everyone knows because it's incredibly clear, because Anakin is not a subtle man at all. And then goes, nah, I'm going to send this teenage boy and a woman that he has fancied since he was 9 years old off on their own without any supervision. And then something goes wrong. I'm like, no, that's a bad thing to do. And frankly, I don't like the dark side was clouding everything. I'm like, no, like unless like Palpatine could literally make you dumb, I don't believe it.
I mean, Palpatine was kind of I will say though that Palpatine was kind of the leading force. Like he didn't like insist that Padme go with Anakin, but he was kind of putting the idea in all of their heads, being like, well, why don't you send a Jedi to go accompany her? And all the Jedi are like, well, we don't want to go fucking do this. We have actual things to do. Let's go send the Padawan, like make him go do the busy work. So like he was kind of like pushing them in just little bits, but fair enough. Yeah, they all knew that they should have known what they were doing was stupid. That said, I will say two words that I think make it better than episode 1, and I think makes it deserve being at least in the A tier. Tamara Morrison, fucking Jango goddamn Fett, and then later Boba Fett. I'm like, bro, I don't know, man. I think Tamara Morrison is like him being there and being all the clones, like that entire battle scene on Geonosis when, like, first of all, when all the Jedi pull out their lightsabers and start fighting the fucking droids and then the clones swarm in, that is like the most bitchin'. That is on par with fucking with the Two Towers, with Lord of the Rings, the Two Towers, the fucking Battle of Helm's Deep. I'm going to put that right.
No, it is not. You wash your mouth out, boy. What?
I'm going to put that right up in there. Love that. Yeah, I love that whole fucking scene because it's like the coolest like 20, 25, 30 minutes of Star Wars that I think the prequel trilogy was capable of giving us. And that includes Order 66.
Nah, man. I can't fuck with that. Nah, it's like this awful, ridiculous scene of them being brought in and tied to those pillars and then attacked by cartoon characters. Like, nah.
Well, no, that scene. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about after that scene when Mace Windu shows up with the purple lightsaber and like, oh, you're brave but foolish, you're outnumbered, and he says, I don't think so, and all the fucking Jedi start pulling out their fucking lightsabers. There's like hundreds of Jedi in the stadium. That is where I'm talking about. Like from the time that Samuel L. Jackson shows up on screen to the end of the fucking movie, it's like the peak of that whole fucking movie. Like Yoda saying, "Begun, the Clone War has," and then them playing the fucking Imperial theme while the fucking all the guys are getting, all the clones are getting onto like ships ready to fly out and go fight the Clone Wars. Awesome movie, peak scene. We disagree, so y'all have to be the deciding vote. Fucking tell us where it goes. And yeah, so for now I'll leave it there. But I still, no, fuck that. I'm putting it there until someone else tells me otherwise.
Spider-Man Jango Fett should pull that down. A ridiculous moment where Jango Fett's hanging onto a building in the rain and then fires a rocket and stays there. Ridiculous.
Okay, fine, fair. Oh well, fuck. There is a kind of a roundabout thing. It's like Count Dooku who wants to kill Padme. He hires someone else to kill Padme. That guy hires someone else to kill Padme, and she in turn puts bugs in Padme's room. Fine, fine. For that, I'll grant it. I will. All right. We have to at least agree on this one. Come on. Like episode 3 was at least the coolest of those 3 movies. Like objectively, like episode 2 is my favorite, but episode 3 like had some of the coolest fucking parts, despite the Vader. No.
Yeah, in fairness, I will let you do this one because I have seen this one the least, and I think the last time I saw it was when we watched the weird Chinese version.
Oh, Backstroke of the West. Yep.
Yeah, because like by the time it came out, I'd given up on Star Wars. Like the prequels just made me give up on it. Like they took something that I had. This is where like I when we get into the sequels, I'll talk about this. Where like I find it so weird that people are like, "Oh my god!" Like someone in the first comment on this stream was someone saying there's only 6 movies, and I was like, 6 movies? You accept those 3? Because like me and a huge amount of other Star Wars fans washed our hands of this entire series because of the prequels. So I haven't seen it as much. I don't remember as much from it, but I will turn over to the people who really love it, and I'll say, you're allowed to love it. You guys decide.
Do you know what they call a quarter pounder with cheese on Coruscant? Royale with blue cheese. Because it's blue milk, you see. Episode 3 is as good as episode 6. I don't know about that. Ooh, that is a bold claim trying to put it on the S tier. Because again, it has goofy scene. She's lost the will to live. It's like, what? You have the ability to like transmorph people into other fucking people. You have like space zombies. You have fucking you have laser swords that are powered by a sentient crystal. And she lost the will to live.
I do kind of feel like they kind of do Padme dirty, especially as we'll get into with the Clone Wars. Like the Clone Wars makes Padme such a better character. But if you take it off of the movies, like she's kind of rubbish. And yeah, like just and then I died. I could not take it anymore, and I died. Yeah,
no, that's stupid. One day we need to do I want to do a what if of like what if Padme survived? Like what if an actual doctor came in there and helped her and she survived? But anyway, all right, you have to fast forward through the prequels. I disagree. I don't think you do, because if you fast forward through the prequels, then you have no context for how awesome this is. And I'm actually, fuck it. I'm going to put this on S tier. I'm going to put the Clone Wars cartoon that the 08 Genndy Tartakovsky is absolutely S tier. If only because it was done in like 5-minute segment. It was like Samurai Jack or Primal style. It was done in little segments, just sprinkled. Like I think it was every Saturday they'd release like 2 or 3 new ones, and they did that for like 3 or 4 weeks, so like for X amount of time. Like when episode 3 came out, or leading up to episode 3, they were putting Star Wars: The Clone Wars little shorts on Cartoon Network. Just in between in between Dexter's Lab and fucking Cow and Chicken, they throw a Clone Wars short, and you get to watch that in lieu of a commercial.
I was not expecting you to put it that high, but I am absolutely behind you. I really like that version of Clone Wars. It's incredibly well made.
Exactly, yeah, and if you're a fan of, again, of Samurai Jack, you're a fan of Primal, like, this is absolutely a one for you if you haven't watched it. It's, oh my god, it's beautiful. Like, it's really cool. Like, it opens super hard with Yoda, like fighting goddamn droids and shit, like in like battle. Like, they have a scene with goddamn Mace Windu, like, just going ham on a bunch of different droids. Like, he pulls all the screws out of one droid and it just falls to pieces. I'm like, I love it.
They do some fantastic stuff. One of the bits I remember really loving is I think it's when they go to the Moon planet. And like it's like almost silent, and you're just following a bunch of clone troopers and like just seeing them like communicate silently and like point stuff out. It's such brilliant visual storytelling. Really, really love that show.
Mm-hmm. Hang on a second. So I just want to talk about Tony's comment real quick. So I think he's still angry that we put episode 3 down here. But it's because, he says the Ewoks killing stormtroopers with rocks and spears, that was awful. That's true. However, when you consider that they had to spend all their vast resources on a second Death Star that wasn't even completed, I'm willing to bet that they skimped on the armor for more than a few of the stormtroopers.
Yeah, and I think there are other things in Return of the Jedi that really lift up the rest of that movie. I don't think Ewoks bring it down enough to take it away.
I'm not gonna. You guys can read, but also that.
Oh yeah, no.
So all right, so yeah, but I think I've said all I need to say that need be said about those Clone Wars. Now we need to go to this Clone Wars, the Clone Wars movie. I'm gonna put that right about there. I don't know about you, because I believe it's honestly maybe even lower down, because while it did spawn the Clone Wars cartoon, like, TV show, it's not great. It doesn't.
Really?
The animation ages like milk.
I haven't seen it, so I can't really I can't speak on this one. So I will take your judgment.
Yeah, I'm gonna put it down there. Like, it's really, so it was early on when they were first fucking around with the Clone Wars like art style and the animation style, and so it's not perfect yet. Like, obviously, like, it takes time to actually kind of come into that style and actually get, find your footing, and so. Like, you can kind of excuse it, but still, though, it's not great. And also, it also deals with Jabba's son. Who gives a fuck about Jabba's son? Like,
oh yeah,
it's the one where they have to go find Jabba's like a kidnapped son, and then the Separatists try to blame it on the Republic that they kidnapped the kid, and it's like, so the whole thing is just really it's kind of just like hey guys, look at that, Jabba the Hutt. Remember, he's here. I don't know if anyone else is on board with that, but since Harrison hasn't seen it and nobody else is talking about it, I'm gonna just go with it's a scruffy looking nerf herder. Now, the Clone Wars cartoon, I'm gonna put it right there, because cumulatively it's a good season, or a good series, but I think season to season it kind of, and episode to episode even, it kind of takes a
I'll agree with you on that. There are definitely, I've tried watching it a few times, and I always get like, oh, these episodes are good, and then I hit like a couple of episodes that I don't enjoy, and I find it much harder to go back and carry on with it. I think this one deserves it because of how much it expanded Star Wars, and because it was something that was produced and it wasn't a novel and it wasn't a video game. It's been able to stick around. The stuff that Filoni did with that show has echoed throughout Star Wars ever since. So I think we have to give it its due.
I mean, and his work on that is what allowed him to get, like, it's what impressed the CEOs. It was impressed George Lucas. It's what made him have like a say in Star Wars Rebels. Star Wars, the fucking, like, Tales of the Jedi, Tales of the Empire, Boba Fett, Mandalorian. Like, it's what made him like a household name as far as Star Wars these days. And real quick, I want to talk about this real quick. Talking Turd says, when the Clone Wars animated movie came out, I hated Ahsoka. Me too. I'm gonna be completely honest. I was on the hate train because I played Force Unleashed, and I'm like, he already has an apprentice. There's no reason to make a new one. And so I was that dork who's like, I like that game, so I want to have my fucking. But no. Anyways, and I was foolish to think that Order 66 will put an end to her, and really think Anakin should have killed her in his transition to Vader. So that's what a lot of people thought was going to happen, or like they thought they were going to show an episode where he does that, or where she, like they were, show a flash forward and stuff like that. There was a lot of speculation. I think they did it, they did a good thing with her, like making her leave the Jedi and becoming like a gray Jedi. Whatever you feel about Ahsoka the TV show, whatever, but Ahsoka the character, good stuff. It's a good thing they didn't kill her off. Anyway, so yeah, so Tony says, I agree. The story arcs are up and down. In the Clone Wars series, the animation got better as the show went on. Exactly, yeah. By the time we get to season 7, the animation has been like damn near perfected. And honestly, I would say season 4 is where it started getting really good, because that's when the Maul season is. That's when he shows back up and starts like he just starts wreaking havoc for like 4 fucking episodes straight.
I'd say I love the stylistic choices of the Clone Wars. When you first got me to watch Clone Wars, actually way back in the day, I mentioned I love how they make the 3D models look like they have brush strokes on them. I think it's genius.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, yeah. Like it looks like it's kind of been like almost like painted, or like it actually is like a cartoon. Although I have seen some weird stuff, like someone made a mod, or there was like a DLC thing where you could play Force Unleashed and have like it be a Clone Wars animation model, and it looked weird. So have you ever watched Star Wars Rebels?
No. Again, it came out in a period where I was sort of, can't be bothered watching Star Wars.
If you have Disney Plus, I would say give it a chance, especially if you're into this. If you've goated the sequel or the prequel or the original trilogy, like that is like Clone Wars is the one for the people who liked the prequels, but Rebels is definitely for the ones who were the OT fans, because I'm like that. It even like it kind of has a similar animation to Clone Wars, but it's like, again, it has its own like art style, its own character like design. And what I think is cool is that when they do the lightsaber fights, they actually make it look like original trilogy lightsabers. Like they actually flicker, and they're, as opposed to them being like, thick and like kind of like glow sticks. They look a lot more like the original, just like a stick with fucking, that's like with a flickering light coming out. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
like
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Like they definitely make it seem like that. I think that was one of the main reasons why that show flourished. So if you ever have a chance, Harrison, give it a chance.
Okay. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I am. I'm working on Star Wars hard merchandise, the last of the 3 Boba Fett books. So yes, more audiobooks are coming.
That was the end of Star Wars. Disney is for the gays. Well, not to burst your bubble, but this is when Disney acquired Star Wars, and that is considered one of the best Star Wars properties of all time. Like, people were sucking that show's dick like crazy. I'm just saying, it took me forever to actually get into Rebels, because I'm just like, I don't fucking care. It's just a fucking another Clone War. Like, I already watched Clone Wars. I don't need to watch Rebels. Blah, blah, blah. And I was the same kind of way of like, I don't want to watch it. But dude, when I actually sat down, watched the fucking show, it's got some of the most powerful goddamn episodes of that series, or of Star Wars. Like, I won't spoil anything for you, but when one character dies, it breaks you.
Okay. All right.
Anyway, and then also it introduced Chopper into the fucking mix, which is like, dude, Chopper is awesome. He's like he's an astromech droid that, instead of him being a beeping, like he does beep, but he's beeping in a way kind of like Kenny, in a way that you can actually understand him.
Yeah. Wasn't there a cool Chopper in your cosplay video?
Indeed, there was that. And what's funny enough, that dude actually was the head moved, the thing, would, like the dude was walking up to people and like with the droid, and like having it walk up and be like, and like start yelling at people and just start fucking with them. And some people didn't know what to do. They're just like it was pretty cool. I did enjoy that. But yeah, so like Chopper is cool. Fucking Kanan, Ezra Bridger, like Sabine Wren. Like, there were so many people fucking simping for Sabine until she became live action, and then suddenly it's like, fuck that, girls in Star Wars, boo.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, no, that whole stupidity. But the point is that Rebels, like, it was one of those things that made that early on was making people say that. Also, anyone asks you what were people excited about for Star Wars in the last 10 years? It's this, because this came out in 2020 or in 2014. It went from 2014 to like 2017, 2018.
Okay.
So that's that. and And don't let anyone tell you differently. Don't let them gaslight you. People called Dave Filoni the savior of Star Wars because of this goddamn show. Anyway, moving on. It's good shit, which now brings us to this. So, Force Awakens. Honestly, I'm gonna put it right there, if only because like I remember the nostalgia, like not the nostalgia, the hype that everyone had for it, and how happy general audiences. Like there were so many people who were so happy with this movie when it came out, even though it is just a regurgitated episode 4.
Yeah, I don't know about putting it that high. I remember when I saw it, and I was like, it's not a bad movie, and I don't think it is a bad movie. I think there are problems with it. I do think, it's really sad that it just retreads like all the beats from episode 4 again.
Mm-hmm.
I think that might make it enough to take it down to the scruffing looking nerve herder. I don't think it's poodoo. It's it does not live up to the legacy that it had from Star Wars, but it isn't dog shit awful.
Yeah. See, what Patrick says is that Force Awakens was a positive sign, and then it fell flat on its face with episode 2 with Last Jedi. That's what the problem. Last Jedi was the turning point here. Is that like, and I'll just not even have to fucking worry about that. I already know where we're gonna put that. But my point is that Last Jedi was the turning point there, because like everyone, when Force Awakens came out, there were so many people fucking hyped for a Star Wars movie after like 30, 40 years. I remember my brothers were happy. My dad was raving about it and how cool the effects were. Like anyone who hated the fucking prequel trilogy, its overuse of CGI, was excited about the practical effects. Like that bread scene where she puts like the dust in the water and it turns into a loaf of bread. That was the coolest thing anyone's ever seen in a movie. Don't lie.
It had some really fun moments. I think that's my main thing. It had good moments, but I don't know, as an overall story, I was disappointed.
Yeah.
I think it was the thing. I remember I went to go see it with my brother, and that was the stuff we talked about. Of like, it wasn't bad, but why did it have to be a Death Star but bigger? Like, why was that what we had to do? Yeah. Like, why do we have
another trench run?
Yeah, another orphan on a desert planet, like that finds the Millennium Falcon. Like, all right, okay.
Yeah. And then we threw Han Solo in there for good measure, but it's. Yeah, and it made over $2 billion. Yeah, it is. It was to date, it is Disney's most successful like Star Wars property, in that it made like the most money. Although all the Star Wars movies made, like even the Force Unleashed, even the Rise of Skywalker made $1 billion. So it's just Star Wars. That's what it is.
I like Patrick mentions about BB-8 being better than Dio or Lola, and I think BB-8 was a great new droid design. I think like that when we first saw it in the trailers, it was like, that's cool. That's wow. You made a droid that managed to feel new and managed to feel like its own little thing. Love it. Mm-hmm. I think there were so many cool things. They started off the concept of a stormtrooper that had defected. We'd seen stuff like that, like obviously with Star Wars Allegiance. Having it in a movie was fantastic. I really like Daniel Boyega? John Boyega?
John Boyega, yes.
John Boyega. I like him. I like Oscar Isaac. Oscar Isaac? I'm forgetting names.
No, you got him right. Oscar Isaac, Daisy Ridley, and
Daisy Ridley. Not so sure about Adam Driver, but when he had the mask on, I quite liked him.
That was a major problem with that movie. They took off the helmet way too early.
Yeah. Catching that blaster bolt was one of the coolest things.
That was
like, I don't know why, but it was so damn cool.
Yeah, no, him catching the blaster bolt and like having it just froze there the whole scene, and then when he leaves the scene, it continues to fly. Like that was pretty awesome. Like, but that's what I mean. Is that's why I would have put it on like the midterm, like the mid area, is because while its story was paper thin and it's exactly the same as just the old as an old Star Wars movies, I would say that it still had like enough that it was enough that it kept people wanting to come back for more, and it had people excited for what could have happened in The Last Jedi. It's just that The Last Jedi dashed all that hope and said, fuck no.
Yeah. Is it? I might kind of agree with you that like it's on the council. Because I don't think it's a terrible movie in its own right.
She had to bust her butt getting spare parts to eat. I mean, is that I don't know. Is that a defense of The Force Awakens or is that against it? I don't know. Yeah, no, she learned how to fight with a lightsaber in 15 minutes. Terrible. Yeah, so did Finn, by the way. Like, that's all I'm saying is that, like, they argue that because he's a trained stormtrooper, he had combat experience already. But I'm like, she's had to fight off like assholes who want to steal her shit and kill her for like since he was a child. I'm like, you know what I mean? I'm like, both of them have combat experience. It's just hers is more like street rat versus military.
I will agree. I'm not as keen on like how she seems to be able to use the Force really well straight away, and obviously they try and put in a reason for that. But I do think that's a bad point. It's why I don't think it could go higher than you were on this council. I would certainly say that.
Oh, okay. It's a defense against the Mary Sue argument. Ah, yes. Okay. But Force Awakens lowered the bar with its awful storytelling. Abrams is just a bad storyteller. Like, if you give him something that isn't established, like if you give him his own movie, okay, like Super 8 or maybe like Lost, all right. But if you give him something that's like an established like Star Trek or Star Wars, he's just going to redo whatever the fuck was popular with those properties.
I do kind of... I agree. I've not been impressed by J.J. Abrams a lot. Like, it feels like J.J. Abrams is like a better producer, if you know what I mean. Like he has nice ideas and he can sort of get things together. But actually, like making a story, I'm not a fan of it. And I remember I went to go see the first Abrams Star Trek, and I wasn't very impressed. And I didn't bother with the rest of them.
Okay, so let's see. All right, so yeah, we're just gonna jump right over the Force or Last Jedi. Don't need to talk about that. Let's set about that movie better. Okay.
Yeah, I hate that.
Like, I don't care what you like. I don't care what scenes were cool. I don't care what you liked about it. The movie was just it didn't do it. Like, went nowhere. It took any story that J.J. Abrams did and just went, nope. We're gonna completely forget about all of that crap. And it was disjointed.
It's really weird. I think I remember I thought this when I went to go see Knives Out. And then I discovered, I didn't realize that it was Rian Johnson. And I was like, oh, this guy can tell a story. He just didn't.
Yeah, no, he's really good. That's the thing, is he's not a bad director. Like, I've watched the Knives Out movies are fucking awesome. They are so awesome. But he just didn't bring any of that to this. And it's like, why not?
Yeah. Because even one thing I'll say about that, like, there are some things where people have, and I included, like, I don't like Luke in that movie, and I don't feel like it does Luke justice. But there are things about that aren't necessarily bad ideas. Luke feeling, like disengaged from the Force and feeling like he's not worthy and that he screwed up and he just runs away isn't terrible. Like he was the only Jedi left, and it's a huge responsibility. I could see how something like that could happen, but the way it plays out in that movie sucks. That story is so badly told, and all the stuff about Kylo Ren and Rey and their stupid Zoom calls through the Force is awful. So awful.
Yeah, no, that was stupid. Like, being able to pull shit through, like, we'll get to it in a little bit when we get to Force, the Rise of Skywalker. But that whole like being able to pull shit through the Force, like, is dumb. I don't care for that. But yeah, no. So Last Jedi, Bantha Poodoo. Sorry. Rogue One, on the other hand, I'm gonna put that up here at least to start. Let me see where you are with it, because I think Rogue One is like peak Star Wars.
I'm okay with that. Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm okay with that. I was really unsure about it. I remember the trailers made it look awful to me. The trailers made I've forgotten the character's name, something Urso, made her look rubbish and like a bad teenage novel character. And then I finally watched it and I was like, this movie's really good. And yeah, I think really harks back to being rebels and being the underdogs, and I think is really good. It's brilliant. Loads of iconic characters. I love the Jet Li guy, the Wills of the Force dude. I think he's fantastic. I love like that scene where he's just beating the shit out of fools. Love it.
Yeah, like I would watch an entire series about just that dude. Like, show me like him and his order being like, guardians, the guardians of the will. Like, show me that. Like, what does it take to be a fucking monk of the Force?
Oh yeah, it's so cool. And yeah, that thing of like, they're not Jedi, but they're connected to the Force a bit. And I'm like, that's the sort of stuff I like. That's like D&D stuff. I'm like, yeah, let's get into these details.
Straight up, yeah, no, that's really cool, and like the entire crew, like the Rogue One, like having Andor, which that leads into the whole fucking show. Andor K2SO got like, which also happens to be like my not my favorite, I don't think, but he's like my second favorite droid in Star Wars universe. I think the first one has got to be like R2.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But yeah, so like anyway, but yeah, K2SO is there. We got Jyn Erso, who's cool. Like the again, I don't know his name, but you just mentioned him, the monk guy, like the dude, like the weird like bounty hunter guy who chills out with him. I'm like the entire crew is just like, dude, you guys are awesome. Like
the character that Forrest Whitaker plays, who's in a bunch of other stuff,
Saul Guerrera.
Saul Guerrera. It's like a great character, a great performance, I think, from Forrest Whitaker. And yeah, I love it. And not just because the AT-ATs came back, but I was happy to see more AT-ATs again.
Mm-hmm. See, Rogue One was the false sense of Disney Star Wars, but was exceptional, and the stuff of childhood dreams. I'm like, so what do you mean it was the false sense of Disney? I'm like, is that them getting cocky or in your mind, or was that them being like, oh, we could, yeah, it's cool, we because I'm pretty sure Rogue One came out after Force Awakens, so they were riding high off of the $2 billion like they made off of that, like, and this one made $1 billion too, I'm pretty sure. Like, so I don't know. Are you saying they were getting cocky, or is that what they were? Is that what was going on? And then they just made Last Jedi, or you gotta elaborate a little more on that statement. Talking. Let's go ahead and move into Resistance. I don't think you've watched this one either, and I'm just gonna put it right there because again, it is not good.
Yeah, I remember you guys telling me about because we talked about when there were trailers for it. And it looked like it could be interesting. Like it reminded me of what was that show? Heavy Gear. Like just like, oh, it's like a weird sports show, but set in Star Wars. That's cool. And I like Donald Faison, so I thought it was cool that he got a character.
Yeah.
But yeah, every report I've heard was that it was not a good show.
Well, yeah, so it got some cool voice. I mean, Elijah Wood's in there. They got Donald Faison. I think there's a few other people, like even Oscar Isaac makes a cameo in there as Poe Dameron. So it's cool, and it tries to like tie into the first, because it takes place before Force Awakens. It tries to tie into how the First Order became a thing, but the thing is that he gets hired, like, so the main character Kaz, he gets hired as a he's like, all right, you're gonna be a spy for us. You're gonna be like, he's in the Republic Academy, like the pilot academy. And he gets recruited by Poe to be like a secret agent. And he's like, you're going to go undercover in this fucking, space station, or this station that does races. It's like, why? Because you need to find out what's going on or some shit. Like it doesn't really like make a whole lot of sense. He's just like, all right, I'm gonna put you here, and you need to become a racer, learn how to do this. Like, start rubbing elbows with these people and start learning some shit. If you find out about the First Order, let me know. And it's like, I'm just like, I don't care. And the animations, it's kind of on the same level. Did you ever see Speed Racer: The Next Generation?
No, I did not know they did that.
Yeah, no, it's about Speed Racer's son, and that's kind of what it feels like. It's just like it's a cheap, like, oh yeah, races, and then teenage angst, and then a love interest with this one girl whose dad is also a bad guy. Like, it's a whole thing. But
okay,
yeah.
Unfortunately, like on paper, it still sounds like a fun idea to me, but I trust you.
This is one thing I'll tell you what I tell everybody else. If you feel interested in it, don't take my word for it. Go check it out. But like, just understand that's my opinion on it. Is I don't think Resistance is worth it. Like if you feel like I want to try it out anyway, give it a try, because maybe you will like it, and maybe next time around when we talk about 10 years down, or not 10 years, maybe like a year or 2 years down the line when we talk about the next 20 Star Wars movies and shows, like maybe you'll have more to say about this. But until then, yeah, like, if you want to give it a chance, give it a chance. Let me see.
Talking sort of clarified, that it was the hopes and dreams of what Disney could have been or could have been possible. And then
I see. Okay.
Then they delivered a bunch of things that did not live up to those dreams.
Yeah, because Disney made Rogue One, but then it delivered Book of Boba Fett, Acolyte, Ahsoka, The Last Jedi, and Rise of Skywalker. Yeah. Tony says he resisted watching Resistance. Yep. All right, so this is kind of a sad movie for me. Solo, like I liked it. I really liked it. Like it's not. It's by no means the best. In fact, I would probably put it in like the "You Are on This Council" because I liked it and I thought it had a lot of really cool scenes. But it was just, I don't know, something about it just didn't. Like it, I don't know. It didn't deliver as much as I hoped it would. But it had a lot of really cool scenes and it introduced the character of Kira, which I'm all for Emilia Clarke. I'm down with Emilia Clarke to being anything and at any time. And then it also gave you what's his name, Childish Gambino, as Lando.
As Lando, yeah,
yeah. It gave you that dude, Donald Glover, as fucking Lando, and I think that's just a good idea. Like I would have loved if it wasn't for The Last Jedi being what it was. I feel like if they had released Solo first, that would have been a much bigger success, and people would have been a lot more hyped about Alden, whatever the fuck his name is, along with and Donald Glover being on like a show or a movie together as Lando and Han. Like I feel like people would have been a lot more happy about that movie if it hadn't come after Last Jedi, because that's, as I said, turning point.
That was one of those movies that like I heard back from people about it and the reviews were so bad. I was like, okay, I'm just going to skip this one. I already was kind of against it because I really didn't like the casting for Han Solo. I just felt like, I think part of it for me is like a huge thing at Harrison Ford is his voice. Like Harrison Ford's voice like is quite iconic, I think, and that guy just didn't have it. I could see how like you'd cast him as a Han Solo because like he kind of looks right, but nah, he just didn't have the presence from what I saw, and so I was like, nah.
Maybe that's what it was. Is that he didn't feel like Han, or like he looks like him kind of, but he just didn't feel like him. I think so. This is going to be a controversial. So yeah, Tony says that Solo was ruined by Lando's Kathleen Kennedy droid, which was L337. And that was the one that's played by the new Indiana Jones chick, the one who's in Dial of Destiny.
Phoebe Waller-Bridge.
Phoebe Waller-Bridge. So, a controversial opinion. I liked that droid. I thought she was funny. Like, I thought she was fucking funny. That's just me. And the fact that they even like had an in-universe reason as to why she was like that, like why she was kind of like bitchy and catty towards humans, is because she never had a memory wipe. And like apparently in Star Wars, when droids don't have that after X amount of time, they start getting really quirky and even rebellious. Like they start thinking for themselves after X amount of years of not having memories wiped.
I kind of like that. It's like a Douglas Adams sort of vibe, that like Marvin the Paranoid Android.
Exactly. I'm like, and I'm kind of down for that. Yeah, whatever. They made it. It was a social justice thing of like equal rights and human rights for droids and shit. I'm like, okay, fine. If you want to take it that way, that's kind of what it was. But I'm like, It's like, again, it was funny. I thought so anyway. Patrick says Solo wasn't bad. And Enfys Nest was cool until her reveal. L3 ain't so bad. I forget who Enfys Nest was. It was I don't know. Yeah, I'll have to Google that. Enfys Nest. Oh, the chick in like the Mandalore, like the pirate who was chasing them the whole thing, trying to get the coaxium. Okay, that's fair enough. Okay, so Return of what's it called? We're running low on time. We're gonna have to start speeding through these, unless you want to go. Are we willing to go a little over?
No, we can go a bit over. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So yeah, well, Force or Rise of Skywalker. I'm gonna put it probably down there and scruffy looking nerf herder because it's again like we talked about with Force Awakens. It's got a lot of cool parts, but story wise is just meh.
I might want to put it in Poodoo. I think like it's a better movie than The Last Jedi, but I think it was such a bad ending to a bad series that it made me mad. Mm-hmm. like the more I thought about it, the more I was like, I hate this. I hate what they've done here. I hate that they couldn't think of anything to do. Like, and maybe you can try and say, oh, Rian Johnson really ruined it, but I don't know. I don't think just bringing Palpatine back out of literally nowhere was worth it. It was so pandering. Fucking Fortnite.
Dude, yeah, no, I was just about to say, the fact that they put his like return in Fortnite and they made that the canon way that he was brought back, and apparently they're retroactively like making a comic book that involves him, like that whole speech from Fortnite being and like making it like, oh yeah, I sent it out to the universe. Right? I'm like, no, the less we freaking remember about that, the better.
Yeah, nah. Like I think it's such weak source, and I know that there was loads of stuff about Palpatine doing clones and things. I think that was already existing in the EU, but it's just weak. There's just nothing to it. And they're like, oh, we can't do yet another Death Star. What if we just had like loads of ships with Death Star lasers? And then there's like 1,000 Death Stars. I'm like, you all suck so bad.
Like, I think the best part of that movie is when it ended. No, the best part of that movie is the scene when like there's more of us, Poe, and it's like all the ships in the background. That's a cool scene because then you can be like, oh, I recognize that. That's a one from that comic book. That's one from the game, and you know you can go through all that and just kind of play Where's Waldo with Star Wars ships. But as far as like everything else about that movie, yeah, no, it's Palpatine returned somehow, bro. Like, you know about cloning. Cloning exists in this universe.
Yeah, and like Rey and Kylo Ren is worse in that movie because there's just nothing between them. There's like I'd possibly say there's less chemistry between those two actors than there was between Anakin and Padme. Like it's just nothing.
Yeah, no, it should have been Rey and Finn. Like, that's if we're being honest. Like, if they're gonna shoehorn in a fucking love thing, it should have been Rey and Finn.
Finn is done so dirty in these movies. He gets introduced as like he'll be like a really integral character, and he's got a really interesting story he could tell. Then the second movie screwed him over, and they don't fix it in the third movie, and it makes me mad. And I don't hate the idea of Rey being related to Palpatine. That on its own is not a problem, but they just do nothing with it. And what's the point?
Yeah, no, it's dumb. It's become a divisive thing, like to the point where saying Rey Skywalker or Rey Palpatine is enough to fucking like start a fight among Star Wars fans. It's ridiculous. How is Episode 2 not rock bottom tier?
Thank you, Tony.
Whoa, Tony. Shame on you. The clones are badass. The clones are badass. Like, I refuse to hear anything to the contrary. The only reason Episode 3 got up there is because of of some of like the cooler scenes that it has and the cooler lightsaber battles and shit. I'm like, Anyway, we got Hans in here. Says, honest question: who was the real Palpatine in light of the last movie? Was the OG trilogy Palpatine a clone? Was the one in Last Skywalker the original one? Same person? That's an interesting question. Actually, like, was Palpatine like cloning himself even before that? Who knows?
Yeah, I don't know, and I don't care. Go away.
Trilogy. We got Jokester in here saying trilogy is A tier. Which trilogy? It's that meme from prequel trilogy. I was gonna say it's like that meme from fucking Civil War. What kind of Star Wars fan are you? All right. Why does Kylo Ren do that dip when he pulls out his lightsaber? He's got a dyad. He got from the dyad connection. Yes, Finn got sidelined big. Okay. He says yes, Finn got sidelined big time. And why does Kylo Ren do that dip when he pulls out of the light? What dip are you talking about? I'm not sure. Like, you talking about like the fucking thing that he does, because I don't know why he does. I notice whenever he pulls his lightsaber out, he always like makes it like it's a fucking baton or some shit.
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyway, yeah, let's move on. We're finally getting into the home stretch of this, and we have some of the better stuff that actually came out of the Disney Star Wars, which I think Mandalorian, that belongs at S tier. Absolutely. Well, right.
Yeah,
because of season 3.
Yeah,
last season kind of dropped off, but still, it belongs in the higher tiers because it's still the first 2 seasons are fucking gold, and I refuse to hear again any gaslighting trying to tell me that they weren't.
Yeah, that first season, I remember watching that and being like, oh, yes. Like, there was always that thing, I think from the original trilogy, especially from the first episode 4, of it's a space western. Like it's got like the parts of a western you expect. It's like the Dollars trilogy almost. And then like Filoni doubles down on it, and it works so well in the first season and the second season, I would say. And then that third season just didn't meet standards. So unfortunately, I don't think it can quite be the chosen one.
Oh shit, Hans was here before.
Mm.
Oops, sorry about that. I think I missed you on that one. My bad. Damn you, Gilbz! I was here. I complimented Harry's shiny hair. It's like, oh well. Well, you know what? Well, not right now, mind you, because I probably need to take a shower. But still, my hair's shiny too sometimes. Anyway, let me see here. Okay. Mando is S tier, worldwide love of growth. No, yeah. So I think because of season 3, we're going to bring it down 1 letter grade because that last season dropped off significantly. But yes, you're absolutely right. Like in that first season, the fucking like everyone was hooked. The second they saw a baby Yoda, like the hand grabbed it and we saw the little baby version of Yoda, the world lost their fucking minds. And I know that because I have a whole shelf in my living room of nothing but Grogu memorabilia.
They did some really cool stuff. I can't remember what their version of Mandalorians is called, the Path or whatever.
Oh, shit. Continue your thought. I'll think of it.
But yeah, like that, the world building they make with those guys, like when you see him go into like their hideout and you meet the blacksmith and you learn about Beskar and like the sort of spiritual significance it has to them. And the foundlings, it's so cool. It's such good sci-fi. I really love it. And hey, who doesn't like a bit of Pedro Pascal every now and then? I remember back in the day being like, oh, who's this guy? I don't care. And then he's just continued to be fantastic and everything. So
yeah,
like,
dude, he's like the only actor that Hollywood knows now.
Like, and I really did like that old kind of Western hero that he did. You know, that guy is like, he's quiet. He's respectful, but like he will.
The second you fuck him up, or like the second you touch him, he's gonna fuck you up.
Yeah, like there was the really nice moments. There's that one where he goes into that village, and like they give him food and they give him a space to be on his own so he can take his helmet off and eat. And it was just like it's such nice character moments like that. Love it. Bill Burr's pretty good. Like,
dude, season 2 Bill Burr. Oh my god. Like he shoots the fucking Empire, like the Empire officer because of like some genocide thing he was forced to do years before. I'm like, oh, peak.
That actor as well who plays that officer. I love that actor. He's in a load of horror movies and he's fantastic.
Yeah. Lizzo and Jack White, or Jack Black. Can you imagine if Jack White was put in the fucking?
Like, that'd be interesting, to be honest.
That's the dude from the White Stripes, right? Yeah, if I'm remembering correct. Okay, so I'm like, if you can imagine if that dude is fucking put into Star Wars, I'm like, that actually might be interesting. Cad Bane's appearance. All right, but that was in Cad Bane was in well, no, you're right. He was in season 2 of Mandalorian. I forgot about that. He was in the episode with the sheriff who had the fucking armor.
Was Cad Bane in that? I thought he turned up in Book of Boba Fett. He does fight that guy, but he fights him in Book of Boba Fett, I thought.
Hang on, let me see. Mando season 2, Cad Bane. Yeah, no, no, I guess not. I guess you're right. He was in Book of Boba Fett, but he fights Cobb Vanth in Book of Boba. No, you're right. So we're getting ahead. The reason I brought that up is because he put it in, he said Cad Bane's appearance was fun, but that's in Book of Boba. So we're getting ahead of ourselves. That's still got one more show before that. But are we not in agreement? I think Mandalorian, A tier.
Yeah, at the very least. What are we on to next?
We are now on Bad Batch, which I don't believe you have seen.
I've not seen all of it. I've seen bits of Bad Batch. I quite like it. It's all right.
I'll put it in the You Were On This Council because it's like, again, not the best animated show out there, and like, but I like the character of Omega. I like the different clones all being like different fucking the Wrecker being huge, like Tech being like the genius, fucking Hunter being like the fucking Rambo. Like I enjoy like that dichotomy of like the different clones. So I'm down for it. All right. Let me see here. Season 3 was amazing. Don't lie. Don't you fucking lie about Mandalorian. Okay, Book of Boba. Where would we put that? Because I think this is probably going to be scruffy looking nerf herder at best.
I think maybe it deserves to be on the council because there are bits that are great. The episodes that aren't the Book of Boba Fett, that are just the Mandalorian, pretty good. And the train heist, I think, is really good. I think most of the stuff that happens with the Tuskens is good. It's just all of the nonsense of Boba Fett is gonna rule Mos Espa with respect is rubbish.
Yeah, see, that's where I'm like, and also like I think you guys convinced me about the what's it called, the 50s people, like the ones on mopeds, like that had no business being on Tatooine. If it was on Coruscant, okay, but yeah, if it was on being on Tatooine makes no sense. Also, the whole idea of like kids, oh, I'm gonna get my arm taken off, put a robot arm on, and that's like the equivalent of tattooing. Like they made it seem like doing that was like a tattoo parlor. And the kids were just being like edgy by getting like, oh, I'm gonna take my eye out and put a fucking robot eye in.
I kind of like that, but again, yeah, it feels weird on Tatooine. Yeah.
So that's the only reason I would say that is because it like had some weird stuff that did feel out of place. Boba Fett, however you feel about the stupid spin, like the guy with the and then pulling a gun out and shooting, like that was stupid. Like however you feel about Boba Fett being like wanting to be a good guy as opposed to just being like a warlord. I liked Fennec Shand, but still though, I think there was a lot that. So I don't know. I don't know. What you guys got to give us some like ideas on this. So I think I don't know.
I'm torn. Because what the Book of Boba Fett should have been Star Wars Breaking Bad, right? Like it should have been like a cool crime drama set in Star Wars. In the same way that Mando is like a cool Western story set in Star Wars. Like it would have been great to see, like, him just being a criminal.
Oh, see, that's another problem with this. The episode where Mando builds the new N1 ship is S tier, but the rest of it is series. But that's the thing. It's 2.5. It's 4 episodes of Book of Boba and then 2 episodes of Mandalorian.
Yeah.
So that's another thing is that like they're good episodes, but it's not even like about him. Like
I think maybe Scruffy looking nerf herder because there's too many things that are disappointing. I don't agree. I think it was the worst, but I don't.
Patrick says Boba should be feared and not trusted, and had to convince people he was respectful.
Yeah, just some stuff like that, or like like that Boba's like, rather than being like, I'm gonna run it with respect, just point out that like, no, he was stupid. Like he's like, you can't like completely exploit everyone because then there's nothing left. So I'm gonna come in and do this differently because I'm better at being a crime lord than Jabba was. Like that's the Boba Fett I think we should have had.
Mm-hmm. So here, real quick, because we only have about like of the ones we've seen. So I'm gonna put the droids. Like someone mentioned the droids cartoon, so I'm gonna put that in not seen because I have not seen it. I don't know about you.
Oh yeah, no, I haven't seen that.
Nor have I watched the Young Jedi Adventures. So
yeah,
put those two in not seen. So now all we have left is Kenobi, the Return of the Tales of the Jedi and Empire, Andor, Ahsoka, Acolyte, Skeleton Crew, and Vision. So here, let's do it this way. Let's go ahead and do we'll get into the live action shows again in here in a second. Let's go ahead and do Empire and Jedi together.
Okay.
So let's just review these two shows because they are kind of like a coin flip for each other. So let's just go ahead and go with the two of them. So where would we put them, or where we put them on different levels?
I think because they're short, I think you were on this council. I think I think they're good enough. Like, I don't think I could really say they're bad. And some of them are cool. I really love that story of Dooku and Qui-Gon. And you sort of see why Dooku started to turn away from the Jedi Council and the Republic.
Let me see here. Yeah, exactly. So it had some cool episodes. Like I think the Ahsoka episode, like having her train with the clones. Like that was a cool, having Anakin have them all shoot at her and have to dodge and shit. Like that was cool because that's a scene from Clone Wars season 7. So that episode was great. Getting to see, I think Empire was a little bit less for me. Like I'll let it be on the council, but I think it was a little bit less for me because those episodes were just like, I don't really care about Barriss. Like I wasn't wondering what she was doing after she got caught in Clone Wars. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like the Jedi episodes were great because they were all about Dooku, young Qui-Gon, Ahsoka. I'm like, I was all for that. But the Empire ones, I'm like, meh.
Yeah, no, I'm fine.
Honestly, I might even put it, the Empire one down in scruffy looking, but leave the Jedi one.
Yeah,
like
I think that's a good choice.
Yeah, and I don't know where you guys. Patrick says droids and Ewoks are droid and Ewok cartoons are poodoo. Unfortunately, well, again, since we haven't seen them, we're gonna have to leave them in not seen. All right, Kenobi.
I think that scruffy looking nerf herder. I know there's some things that people really loved about that, but overall I don't think it works.
Yeah, I don't think I was like, I didn't hate the fact that he went off of Tatooine for like the whole series and was with Leia. I didn't hate that. Like a lot of people were like, that's lore breaking, or that's fucking whatever. That doesn't make any sense because the fucking episode 4, and it's like, but honestly, I didn't hate that. I thought it was kind of cool to see him palling around with young Leia. The only thing I didn't like is that it just kind of, I think it didn't really have much to do there. Like they didn't really know what they wanted to do with that other than just like some sweet moments of like, I knew your mother. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And like there are some bits I like the final fight with Vader. I think that's fun. Really cool. I really enjoy that. I think Ewan McGregor does a good job of sort of getting across the emotion of that. I think it was nice to have Hayden Christensen come back and kind of show that he can do this better. Oh god, the flea chase scene was weird.
Yeah, like it had some dumb moments, which is why it's on scruffy looking nerf herder. But it's like, but overall, I think Ewan McGregor was like, he did fine. He came back. He was Obi-Wan Kenobi, and definitely, at least the way I would imagine him. He's like kind of a broken man. Like he's fresh off of like his friends all being murdered and like him having to go into exile.
Yeah, I also, unfortunately, I think all the stuff with Reva, I don't think is very well done. Like it's one of those things where I hate the fact that some absolute tools online start screaming and bitching about a woman being in like Star Wars, especially a black woman, because they're just fucking tools. But I don't think the story's well told, and I am just like, I'd rather see this story. I think we should focus on that. But hey, Jar Jar. No, actually, no, that wasn't that series, was it? I thought maybe there was a minute. Did Jar Jar turn up in that?
In Obi-Wan? I don't think so.
Was he? No, Bail
Organa. Yeah, Bail Organa shows up with him.
I don't mean actual Jar Jar. I mean the actor who played him.
Abed Best. No. So Abed Best, I think, shows up in season 3 of Mandalorian. Okay. When you see Grogu's like, oh no, wait, maybe not.
I remember him saving younglings, and I couldn't remember if it was Grogu he saved or if it was Reva. Because there's
it was Reva. It was there is a Jedi that saves Reva and the children, but it's not. The Abed Best is the one that saves fucking Grogu. And I remember it was Abed Best because he's the one. That was his character from that one fucking Star Wars game show that they made.
Yeah, I like that.
Which is that's goofy as fuck that they made that dude canon. But I'm like, fuck it, why not? Let him.
I like that. So like, canonically, at some point, a Jedi said, "Nice high five." It was crisp. Which is like the main thing I remember from that.
Oh, that was such a dumb game show too. All right, so Kenobi, scruffy looking nerf herder. The Reva stuff was really bad. Not all right. So her story was kind of like poorly told, I think. And then like the backlash that the character got was just uncalled for. Yeah, like I'll grant you on that one. Andor, don't even need to fucking ask. I know exactly where that one goes. Fucking S tier. Looking forward to season 2. Fucking all y'all should do the same. Go watch Andor. Even though it feels at some points like communist propaganda. Like, I'm all for it, but
y'all could do with some of that right now.
Probably. Like, better a communist than a fascist. Well, maybe, I don't know. Depends on what kind of communist are you.
What kind of communist are you? Better a socialist than a fascist. Let's say that.
There we go. That's a much better way to go about it. In a way that's not going to get me in trouble with a lot of my fellow countrymen.
Probably still get you in trouble.
Yeah, probably.
But you were already in trouble.
Yeah, no, I've said a lot of stupid shit. Anyway, so Ahsoka. I'm thinking, I'll give it Scruffy because it's
Okay.
like,
yeah.
What do you think higher?
I was surprised you put it there. I thought you would like it because of how much Rebels like references there are in it.
Well, no, there is a lot. However, I like upon further reflection, like I watched it again a few months ago, and I'm just like, it's got some cool stuff, but again, it just kind of feels like it deals too much with the Sabine being a Jedi thing. Even though I feel like it would have been a lot better had she like come to terms with the fact that she's never going to be a Jedi. Like you can still do good things and still be a hero and still like be important to the galaxy, but you don't need to have force powers. I think that'd be a good thing for her to learn, especially being a Mandalorian.
I agree with you on that, and I think it would be and in the Rian Johnson way of thinking, I think it would be a good thing because it's the least expected thing. But instead, they do like a really obvious thing of like, oh, but she'll figure it out eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that one I'll kind of grant is maybe lore breaking because then you could argue that then anyone could literally just use the Force. If they just have to want it hard enough. And I'm just like, that's not true. It's about your midichlorian count. Anyway, so okay, but yeah, that's where I would put it to there. At best, maybe you are on the council, but still, though, I know a lot of people weren't into it. Like a lot of people like I know there's a lot of people weren't down with her getting stabbed and then start surviving it like nothing. Which
yeah.
Let's see, Ahsoka was super lukewarm. So yeah.
I think that's a good way of describing it. Kind of lukewarm. It never quite hit. Like you'd see things, you go, "Oh, that's a nice idea," but then the show was just a bit sort of like, "Meh." Again, lots of cool references. You get Hayden Christensen back. You get all the flashbacks into the Clone Wars. That's a cool thing to do. Put that into live action. But it just doesn't get me going.
Interesting. Petra says that's what the Force was for the first 30 years. Was just like, I guess, something you just have to want. You had to want enough. Like you had to, like anyone could do it. You just had to want it enough, or you try it, or like train hard enough. But careful, Gilbz. Those words are treason against the Emperor. Oh yeah, no. Allow me to play the new national anthem. Dun 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 dun.
Mate, when the Emperor turns around and says execute Order 420, you're screwed, man.
Yeah, dude, straight up. I'm like, if don't joke, like there may well be a day when Trump execute Order 66, and then next thing you know, all the Democrats get shot. Nah, but seriously though, all right, guys, controversial thought. Here we go.
Oh,
Acolyte. just, do you hear that, Harrison? That's a million angry buttholes just puckering.
I could hear a million furious tweets.
A million nerds' voices cried out in terror and were suddenly silenced. Yeah, no, but we all know the Acolyte was not good. It wasn't even like it didn't even like was not even in the zip code of good. It had some cool lightsaber fights. I'll give it that. Credit where credit is due. Had some really cool lightsaber fights, and I thought the bleeding crystal thing was kind of cool, but the story was just ass. Story was ass and a half.
Yeah, and like even like the fight was fairly good, but almost all of it comes down to that one kill was like the greatest moment of the show. That was it. That's all it had.
That's really all it had. If it did more of that, it would have been at least it would have been an all right shit. It might have made it to like the midterm or even like scruffy looking, but no, it's Bantha Poodoo through and through. I'm sorry.
Nah, yeah,
I just had one good episode. Story. Yeah, no, it was a disjointed story. Didn't know what it wanted to do. Act Twilight. Yeah, it was the Twilight of Star Wars, and not surprisingly, some of I don't want to say the worst, but some of just like the craziest people are on board with it, and I'm like, okay, man, whatever you like.
Yeah, like as we've argued over the prequels, people surprise me about the things they like in Star Wars. So I can't be too like sort of like, oh, what are they mad when people like the Acolyte, because people are saying like, that
yeah, you just like different stuff about Star Wars than I do. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
Anyway, So now let's go, before we get to the final one, our most recent one, let's go ahead and do Star Wars Visions, because I kind of forgot about that one. I'm gonna put it in light side of the Force, because season 2 is not as good. Like season 2 is not as good, but the season 1 is fucking peak. Every single episode of season 1, absolutely peak. And if they did that by itself, it would be the best.
Yeah,
like, I think. Go ahead.
It's almost got a thing of like the individual episodes are so short, like it's hard to find something really wrong with them. But I think they're beautifully made. They often tell great stories, and some of them are really cool. Like I wasn't too keen on the Tatooine music one, but like most of them I really enjoyed. Yeah, I don't see anything wrong with Visions.
See, I can't believe Gilbert didn't understand the Green Jedi boss was gaslighting Yoda and was an evil schemer. Oh no, I definitely got that. My problem is I've read several of the High Republic books with Vernestra Rowe in them, and I actually like that character. She's actually really cool and written well in those books. And this show wrote her like a fucking, I don't even know. It wrote her like a cardboard box. It's stupid, man. But anyway. Yeah, no. Damn it, Tony. I already covered this. We aren't going to talk about it, even though we already talked about. No, but go look at it. Go look at it again. She made a statement saying that she's not retiring anytime soon. She's just in talks about who her replacement will be, which is probably going to be Dave Filoni. Let's all be fucking honest.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, you must have read the announcement.
The only thing I thought about was when I heard it, I was like, oh, fair dues. Like Kathleen Kennedy has had a huge career.
Like she's had 13 years of running this company, and then like the 20 plus years of like producing before that.
Yeah, like producing some of the most popular movies and like greatest movies of all time. So I'm kind of like, I would have retired by then. like
straight up, dude. Like if you have all the I wonder, do the producers get residuals off of those movies? I don't know. Probably not. But with the amount of money that one's probably made off of all these fucking different properties, I'm like, bro, just take the money and run. Maybe somehow Lucas will return. Oh, dude, I doubt it. After all the shit talking that people have done about this prequel trilogy, even on this podcast episode alone, like I don't think he'll ever come back. But anyway, all right. So yeah, but Acolyte, great. Final thing, and we finally come to the end of it. Skeleton Crew. Where do we stand on it? Like this is the most freshest one in our mind.
I'd say scruffy looking nerf herder.
I kind of agree with you. Is that like had a lot of cool visuals, had a lot of cool stuff. The droid was pretty cool, but again, just a story that had potential and didn't really go anywhere. It just had a lot of cool moments. Like,
yeah.
Yeah. Hans, are you drunk, Hans?
A whole weird thing.
Yeah. Bernie Sanders is Yoda. Trump is Jabba the Emperor. Mr. Vance is Drag Queen Sith. I love how you're just going off on my government, Hans. I get that you really don't like him, and like believe me, we don't either. But I just love how you're just going off on him. Boba was way better than Skeleton Crew. That's I don't know. I'm not sure if that's true.
Now,
all right, guys. Yeah, go.
I think I prefer. I would probably watch the Book of Boba Fett again before I watch Skeleton Crew again. So I think you're onto something there, Patrick.
All right, this is our last chance. We want to upgrade. Actually, I'll ask the audience, and then I'll ask you, Harrison, to like take a look at what we've got so far, and this is the end of it, and then we'll wrap up. Is there anything we want to like change tiers last minute, like up or down, anything?
I'm pretty okay with most of the stuff, I think. Yeah, Boba Fett is probably one of the only ones that I was a bit torn about. But again, because like there were some episodes where I thought it was really cool. And then there were just some episodes where I was really disappointed. And maybe it's because I haven't seen it in a while.
I'll have to go back and watch it again and see if it's as bad as or not even as bad. It's just not as like, I'll have to see if it's the way I remember it, or if it's not. For the time being, I don't know. I'll give it, because we were torn on it and we were kind of disagreement. I will give Patrick the final say, and we will make it scruffy looking nerf herder. So we have a nice little bell curve going on here.
Yeah.
Let me see here. All right. So last thing was from Talking Turf. He says Skeleton Crew didn't need to be in Star Wars. It could have been set outside of Star Wars and worked. That's true of a lot of things. Like they say that about Andor. Like I feel like that's true of goddamn Mandalorian. Like there's many of things that Disney has made in the last few years that it's like you could have just taken the Star Wars completely out of it and kept the story itself, and it would have been great.
Yeah, like Skeleton Crew, I like that because we've talked a lot about how they should just make like genre stories but set in Star Wars. And I appreciate that Skeleton Crew was actually doing that. Like, okay, what if we made an adventure pirate story in Star Wars? I think that's a great idea. I don't think they executed the idea correctly, but I love it. You know, like I like, like what if we made a Clint Eastwood Western in Star Wars? Awesome. You get Mandalorian. And I think they should do more of it. Andor, what if we make a tense espionage drama in Star Wars and you get Andor? And it works so well. But yeah, you know, sometimes you've got a good idea, but you've got to stick the landing.
See, not for Andor, in my opinion. Star Wars. All right, so fair enough. Maybe Andor. I don't know. A lot of people have said that Andor would work as just a spy thriller by itself, but either way,
I think you could make that story in a different sci-fi setting. But the fact that it's in Star Wars, I think, makes Star Wars better. I think that expands the world of Star Wars and fleshes it out fantastically.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. Like, I'm totally down to see where season 2 goes and how we get. Like, honestly, what I kind of want is for season 2 to end. Like, I guess what they're saying is that they're going to release it in like the first 4 episodes, the next 4 episodes, and then the next 4, and they're going to be like different periods of his life. Like, it'll be like, 3 years after the first season, then it's like 10 years or like 4 years after. So it's like it'll be like X amount of time has passed since each of these groups, and so what I want is for episode 12 or whichever the last episode, 10, 12, whichever one, I want it to be like him on that planet we see him on in the beginning of Rogue One. Like meeting up with his sword, like have it literally like the end of that episode is him meeting up with the guy that he inevitably is going to shoot, and then so he can escape. I'm like, that would be a cool way to end that, in my opinion. Andor shows the darker side of the rebellion. Agreed. And yeah, so Andor, I think we can agree, is probably if there was like a ranking system from like absolute best to absolute worst, probably Andor meets like it has like the top spot, like just in terms of like just great filmmaking, great story, great characters. Like just it's wonderful. But I think we found a pretty good way to do this now. Like we've got it here. There you go, guys. Drink it in. The official rating here. I'm just going to take us out real quick. There we go. Take it in. The official rating for Fulcrum Entertainment. There is our Star Wars. And I'm sure in a few years' time, when we get like the next 6 movies and TV shows or whatever they've announced, like we'll be talking about this again, and maybe we will come back to it and reassess where we are. But God damn it, I can't believe I'm gonna read this last one. Andor's mom said, "Fuck the Empire," and they got cold feet and changed it to "fight." Fuck the Empire. Fuck them hard. Nah, but seriously, all right, guys. I think that's where we're gonna wrap it up, though. I want to say thank you to everybody who's been here, to Talking Turd, to Jokester, Patrick. We had Hans was in here, Mr. Action was in here for a minute. See, Grandmaster was there. We had I don't think we had Aaron today, which is sad. We had Mr. Action in here for a minute. But yeah, and then also John Henry Walker. I want to say thank you guys to all you and anyone else who was listening and didn't comment or I missed you. I'm sorry. I want to say thank you to all y'all. And thank you to our Fulcrum Council as well. You guys are awesome. We appreciate you guys, spending money to listen to us talk. And of course, as always, thank you to my co-host Harrison for being here and talking and arguing with me about Star Wars for the last 2 hours. It's been a good show. I'm glad we had as I suspected, we had a lot of engagement, a lot of people coming in here to chime in to say how like they think the sequel trilogy was better than the prequel verse those. How they think the prequel trilogy was better than the sequel trilogy or whatever. So I appreciate you all for being here. Thank you guys. Harrison, do you have anything you wanted to tell people or anything you wanted to mention?
Yeah, so I'm definitely working on the next Star Wars audiobook, so do keep an eye on the channel for that. It's coming. I've started recording, so hopefully there'll be an episode out soon. And yeah, just continue to hang out with us. It's always fantastic just to chat with you guys and, discuss Star Wars. And I really appreciate that the people who hang out and chat with us are pretty decent. And sometimes you can get some heels on the internet.
Indeed you can. But yeah, like, and so we appreciate that, Talking Turd. You say you guys deserve way more views. Well, I appreciate that. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment below, hit that like button, hit the share button if you want. You know, go share us on Twitter or Blue Sky or Instagram, wherever the fuck you go. go share us those places. And yeah, it's a very welcoming community. Fuck yeah, it is. We bring in all Star Wars fans, not just the ones who say only the Lucas movies. Okay. Nah, but in all seriousness, though, thank you guys for being here. I have been Gilbert.
I've been Harry.
And this has been the Fulcrum Entertainment Podcast. We will see you all next week. No idea what we're going to do. Probably going to talk about Daredevil, but we will see you next week. And that's right. Actually, it comes out on the 4th. So fuck yeah, we're definitely going to be talking about Daredevil next week. So be there for that, because not Star Wars, but it's still going to be awesome. And we will see you all next time. Bye, everybody.